The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, according to central bank figures, remittances from Sri Lankan workers exceeded $2 billion in first 4 months of 2025. Rising demand for outdoor activities like hiking and trekking is expected to propel Sri Lanka's adventure tourism business to $780 million by 2025 and $2.1 billion by 2035. With increase reported by the ASPI and S&P SL20, the Colombo Stock Exchange ended the day in a positive position. The S&P SL20 increased 1.64%, while the ASPI increased 1.35%. And after the US and China recently announced a trade truce, softer than expected inflation data bolstered market optimism, and the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq closer higher for a second consecutive day. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Sri Lanka's workers' remittances surpassed $2 billion in the first 4 months of 2025, according to the central bank data. However, the total remittance inflows are down 15.5% compared to the same period in 2024, which saw $2.46 billion.
Sri Lanka's worker remittances reached $646.1 million in April, marking an 18.8% year-on-year increase. This follows a strong performance in March, where remittances surged by 21.1% to $693.3 million, the second highest monthly figure ever recorded. The spike in remittances during March was largely attributed to increased funds channeled through official banking systems. Despite these positive monthly trends, overall remittances are still trailing last year's pace, with cumulative inflows from January to April $2.8 billion, a 15.5% decrease from the same period in last year. The outlook for future remittances inflows may face challenges due to a decline in foreign employment departures. In the first 4 months of this year, 89,132 individuals left for foreign employment, down 9.1% from the same period last year. Monthly departures have averaged 22,238 this year compared to 24,300 in last year.
A high-level 115-member Chinese delegation will visit Sri Lanka for the Sri Lanka-China Trade and Investment Forum on May 30th in Colombo. The forum, hosted by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and the Department of Commerce of Sri Lanka, will be led by Minister of Commerce of China, Wang Wentao. Delegates from 77 Chinese companies will meet with potential Sri Lankan business partners to explore trade and investment opportunities. The forum will cover a wide range of sectors including agriculture, textiles and clean energy, with a focus on enhancing bilateral commercial ties. Chinese businesses are particularly interested in importing Sri Lankan products like black tea, spices and seafood. Investment talks will center around the automotive industry, tea plantation and tea enterprise development. Sri Lanka's adventure tourism market is projected to reach $780 billion by 2025 and grow further to $2.1 billion by 2035, driven by increasing demand for outdoor activities like hiking and trekking.
Sri Lanka's adventure tourism market is projected to reach $780 million by this year and expand to $2.1 billion by 2035, reflecting a compound annual growth rate of 10.5%. The rising global interest is attributed to a growing preference for experiential and sustainable tourism, with Sri Lanka's diverse topography, including misty highlands and coastal rainforest, acting as a major attraction. The country's expanding network of eco-lodges, national parks and well-maintained hiking trails are driving the growth in the nature-based travel. Key trekking routes like Adams Peak, the Knuckles Mountain Range and Horton Plains are already popular, while newer destinations such as Alla, Beliholla and Nuwara are gaining international attention. Government efforts to promote sustainable tourism and improve rural infrastructure are also contributing to the sector's growth. The projected market size by 2035 is expected to create significant employment opportunities and support community-led conservation initiatives.
The Digital Marketing Association of Sri Lanka has announced the DMSAL Digital Summit 2025 will be held on 24th and 25th of July in Colombo. This highly anticipated event will be the summit's third edition and promises to be the largest and most impactful, yet the summit will bring together digital professionals from across South Asia, including marketers, technologists, creators and innovators. This year's theme, Where Asia's Digital Minds Converge, aims to spotlight the region's digital transformation and growth. Attendees can look forward to keynotes from industry leaders, workshops on AI, e-commerce and data as serve as interactive zones for networking and collaboration. The summit is expected to attract thousands of professionals, offering a platform for innovation and meaningful partnerships. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The Colombo Stock Exchange closed in positive territory with both ASPI and S&P SL20 posting gains. The ASP rose 1.35%, while the S&P SL20 climbed 1.64%. Market turnover topped 3 billion rupees, driven by strong investor interest across sectors. For further insights, we speak with Manusha Kandanarachi from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prashansa. The Colombo stock market reopened after the long holiday, kicking the week off on a strong note with robust investor participation driving early momentum. The all-share price index demonstrated steady fast growth throughout the session, registering a gain of 250 points to close at 16,131. HNB Bank, Central Finance, Commercial Bank, Sampath Bank and Aegon Spence were the key positive drivers of the index as well. The easing of China-US tariff and an immediate India-Pakistan ceasefire boosted global sentiment, sparking a strong market rebound as both high net worth and retail investors returned from the holidays with renewed optimism and active participation for today's trading session. Investor sentiment spurs elevated towards certain hotel sector and blue chip counters, whilst the diversified financial sector registered the highest in terms of sector-wise returns. The turnover surged to 3.4 billion rupees, reflecting a 47% increase from the monthly average of 2.3 billion rupees as well. The capital goods sector led today's turnover with a 31% share, followed by the diversified financials and food, beverage and tobacco sectors, jointly accounting for 32% of the overall turnover. Thank you.
Sri Lanka has successfully sold 173 billion rupees of treasury bills, with yields remaining steady across all maturities. The 3-month yield stayed at 7.65%, the 6-month yield at 7.98% and the 12-month yield at 8.3%. For further insights, we speak with Akna Thenakon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prasansa. Today, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka concluded its weekly treasury bill auction, where the initially offered amount was fully raised amid flat yields. So, only 7.2 billion rupees was raised out of the total offered amount of 30 billion rupees in terms of the 3-month bill. And the weighted average yield for the 3-month maturity stayed unchanged at 7.65%. In terms of the 6-month bill, a total of 54.7 billion rupees was raised, and this too fell short of the initially offered amount of 70 billion rupees. The weighted average yield for the 6-month bill also stayed unchanged at 7.98%. Finally, 111.1 billion rupees was raised through the 1-year T-bill, which had an initial offering of 73 billion rupees. For this maturity also, the weighted average yield stayed unchanged at 8.30%. So all in all, a total of 173 billion rupees was raised in this auction, as weighted average yields of all maturities remained unchanged. Thank you.
Gold prices dropped today at easing US-China trade tensions reduced demand for safe haven assets. Spot gold fell 0.5% to $3,231.10 per ounce, while US gold Futures declined 0.4% to $3,235.30. The decrease followed a White House decision to cut the de minimis tariff on low-value Chinese shipments to 30%, elevating trade war concerns. President Donald Trump indicated that he does not expect tariffs to return to 145% after a 9-day pause, fueling optimism over a potential trade agreement with China. Meanwhile, U.S. consumer prices rose by 0.2% in April, slightly below expectations. Investors are now looking ahead to Thursday's Producer Price Index data for more clarity on the Federal Reserve's interest rate decisions. Oil prices retreated today as trades closely monitored a potential increase in U.S. crude investors. Although prices remained near two-week high due to optimism following a temporary trade truce between the United States and China, Brent crude futures fell by 0.6%, reaching $66.24 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude slipped 0.6% to $63.31. Despite the dip, both benchmarks had surged by more than 2.5% in the previous session. The U.S. and China agreed on Monday to pause their trade war for at least 90 days, with the U.S. reducing tariffs to 30% from 145% and China cutting duties on U.S. imports to 10% from 125%. Traders are awaiting the release of U.S. inventory data later this week, which could provide more clarity on market direction. The Sri Lankan rupee has strengthened against the US dollar today, showing an improvement compared to last Friday. According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar has decreased, but the selling rate has also dropped. The rupee has experienced a slight fluctuation against a basket of foreign currencies, with notable appreciation against Gulf currencies. Let's take a closer look at how the rupee is performing against major global currencies in the current trading environment. A short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back. Sri Lankan Airlines, the loss-making national carrier, plans to expand its fleet by adding 5 new aircraft, including 2 narrow-body planes, by March 2026, according to a senior company official.
Sri Lankan Airlines plans to expand its fleet with 5 new aircraft, including 2 narrow-body planes, by March 2026, according to Regional Manager Fauzan Farid. The airline will add 2 narrow-body aircraft between April and June 2025, followed by 1 wide-body plane between July and October 2025. By March 2026, Sri Lanka's fleet will grow to 25 aircraft, with 2 additional wide-body planes added between November 2025 and March 2026. Currently, the airline operates 20 Airbus aircraft, including 9 wide-body and 11 narrow-body planes. Sri Lankan Airlines will also resume services to Beijing in July 2024, with 4 weekly flights, followed by Shanghai in November 2025. Despite this expansion, the airline's plans contradict its proposed 5-year business plan, which aims to eliminate 15 unprofitable Indian routes. Farid emphasized that India remains a key market for Sri Lankan, and to capitalize on rising demand, the airline will double its daily services to Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur and Singapore starting July 2025. Sri Lankan Airline aims to strengthen its position as a key player in regional aviation market through these strategic fleet and route expansions.
Dip Products PLC has unveiled its Eco-Pulse Nature Reserve, a pioneering biodiversity project located at its Hangwala manufacturing facility. The reserve, spanning 2 acres in Sri Lanka's low country wet zone, is first phase of DPL's broader biodiversity enhancement program outlined in its ESG Roadmap 2030.
The initiative aligns with Haley's Life Code and aims to restore ecosystems 5 times the land area occupied by DPL. The Kopa's Nature Reserve features a biodiversity trail, viewpoints and a butterfly garden, celebrating Sri Lanka's natural heritage. The park showcases a range of endemic and endangered plant species such as Navahandi and Rat Dotalu, designed to rehabilitate the landscape and support native wildlife. Notable fauna, including the Sri Lanka hanging parrot and endangered Eurasian otter, have already been spotted in the reserve.
NSBM Green University has signed a strategic loan agreement with the Bank of Ceylon to finance the second phase of development at its Homagama campus.
NSBM Green University signed a strategic loan agreement with Bank of Ceylon to support the ongoing Phase 2 development of its Homagama campus. The agreement was formalized at recent signing ceremony held at NSBM with Vice-Chancellor Professor E.A. Veerasinghe and Deputy Vice-Chancellor Professor Chaminda Ratnayaka representing the university. BOC General Manager Russell Fonseca, along with senior bank and university officials, also participated in the event. Prior to this agreement, NSBM had already initiated Phase 2 structural work using its own funds, reflecting strong financial stewardship. The BOC loan will enable completion of key infrastructure projects, including a 15-story Faculty of Science building and a modern multipurpose auditorium. Professor Veerasinghe emphasized NSBM's track record of fulfilling its 8.6 billion rupees Phase 1 loan commitment even during national crisis. Fonseca reaffirmed BOC's commitment to supporting educational focused development projects that drive Sri Lanka's socio-economic growth.
Mercantile Investments has opened 2 new branches in the Northern Province, marking its 74th and 75th locations. The 74th branch opened in Kilinochchi, followed by the 75th branch in Pudukkuddu. These expansions are part of the company's ongoing efforts to promote financial inclusivity and serve underserved regions across Sri Lanka.
The new branches will offer a wide range of financial services, including leasing, gold loans, fixed deposits, and children's savings. Mercantile Investments aims to empower communities, particularly in rural areas, by providing tailored financial solutions to businesses and individuals. The company is committed to driving sustainable growth through accessible financial services. With a strong track record of success and innovation, the company continues to make financial services accessible and inclusive across all sectors of Sri Lankan society.
Dialog Asiata has launched the IAX submarine cable, enhancing Sri Lanka's connectivity to Mumbai, Chennai and Singapore and boosting digital infrastructure for 5G and other technologies.
Dialog Asiata PLC has officially launched the India-Asia Express submarine cable, marking a major advancement in Sri Lanka's digital infrastructure. The commissioning ceremony was attended by key dignitaries including the Malaysian High Commissioner and the Indian Consul General. The IEX cable connects Sri Lanka to major digital hubs such as Mumbai, Chennai and Singapore. This new high-speed, high-capacity link will significantly enhance internet bandwidth across the island. It supports emerging technologies like 5G and AI, helping to power the next phase of Sri Lanka's digital transformation. The cable also improves the country's network resilience and ensures greater redundancy in digital connectivity. Dialog's initiative aims to empower communities and businesses with more secure and uninterrupted digital access.
Aitken Spence Apparels has been recognized at the CPM Best Management Practices Company Awards 2025, with 2 of its subsidiaries among the top 20 outstanding companies.
ACE Apparels Private Limited and Aitken Spence Private Limited were honored for their exemplary management practices and innovation. ACE Apparels, based in Koggala, was awarded for integrating washing and embroidery operations within the factory, cutting costs and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Aitken Spence, located in Mathugama, was recognized for diversifying its product range and partnering with reputed international clients while maintaining high compliance and sustainability standards. The awards highlight the company's commitment to operational excellence and industry leadership. CEO Lushan Pereira credited the achievement to the dedication and hard work of both teams.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stock markets showed mixed performance, with Hong Kong and South Korea rising, driven by gains in US tech stocks, while Japan lagged due to a strengthening yen. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index rose over 1%, supported by gains in major Chinese tech stocks like Alibaba and Tencent.
South Korea's Kospi also jumped 1.5%, led by chipmakers Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. In contrast, Japanese stocks declined, with the Nikkei 2025 falling 0.8% and the broader Topix index slipping more than 1%. Markets in Australia and Singapore were muted, with the S&P ASX 200 down 0.1% and the Straits Times index down 0.3%. Investors remain cautious due to ongoing trade negotiations and geopolitical tensions in the region.
The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq closed higher for a second straight day after softer than expected inflation numbers added to investor optimism, thanks to the US and China recently announcing a trade truce.
Wall Street's main indexes ended mixed on Tuesday, with the Dow dropping more than 0.6%, the S&P 500 gaining over 0.7%, and the Nasdaq climbing 1.6%. Softer than expected inflation numbers added to investor optimism that carried over from Monday's announcement of a U.S.-China trade truce. The S&P 500 is now back in positive territory for 2025 for the first time since late February. Stocks nosedived after President Donald Trump unveiled global reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd. The Dow, however, was pulled down by a nearly 18% slide in shares of United Health Group after the insurance bellwether suspended its annual forecast and its CEO stepped down. Among other movers, shares of crypto exchange operator Coinbase Global surged almost 24%, after an announcement that it is slated to join the S&P 500 on May 19th. And shares of American Eagle Outfitters, up more than 5% at the close, crashed 18% in extended trading after the apparel company withdrew its annual forecasts and took a $75 million inventory charge on its spring and summer collection due to economic uncertainty fueled by tariffs.
Nissan unveiled new cost cuts, saying it would eliminate 11,000 more jobs and slim down production, capping a rough year that has left the Japanese automaker fighting to turn itself around.
Nissan unveiled sweeping new cost cuts on Tuesday. The Japanese automaker confirmed it would cut 11,000 more jobs and slim down production. Nissan also saw its profit almost wiped out in the year that just ended. Operating profit hit $472 million in the 12 months to March, a decline of 88% from the previous year. The automaker also held off on releasing estimates for the financial year just starting. The results come at the end of a difficult year as the company fights to turn itself around. Nissan has been hurt by weakening sales in the US and China. It also saw merger talks with Honda collapse and was recently forced to replace its chief executive. The new job cuts will bring Nissan's total workforce reduction to around 20,000 jobs. It previously announced plans to cut 9,000 positions. Rival Honda did reveal its forecast for the current financial year, but it wasn't a glowing look ahead. It projected a 59% fall in profit due to uncertainty over US President Donald Trump's tariffs. It also puts a plan on hold to build an electric vehicle supply chain in Canada. Honda's forecast is the latest sign of the challenges car makers face with US tariffs on foreign-made automobiles, all while the industry sees the rise of Chinese EV producers.
That's wrap up today's Nightly Business Report. We will see you again tomorrow with the latest updates in the business globe. Until then, I'm Prashansa Gunawardana. Thank you for watching and have a good night.